We should maybe go a little off script here just for a moment, because training camp is winding down and they're gearing up towards the first handful of preseason games here. Thoughts on any of the rumors that you're hearing out of training camp? Just any thoughts?
Any thoughts whatsoever?
Yeah.
Well, I think we are going to kind of talk about some of this, hopefully, the later part of the episode with Dustin Baker.
We will, yes.
But yeah, I mean, just the idea that JJ McCarthy is looking okay, apparently. That's a fun talker to maybe get some more information about. Definitely interested in the Dalton Risner situation. Kind of interested in the defensive back situation with guys like Lewis Seen and Andrew Booth and how that's all going. So that's kind of what I'm keeping my eyes peeled for. What about you?
Well, I've seen some interesting headlines the last week or so since we recorded last. And one headline that really stuck out to me was, and maybe this could be one of those clickbaity things that was amplified. It could be true, but it could be overblown. But something that stuck out to me was Sam Darnold has been taking more second-team reps, and JJ's been taking more first-team reps. And the rationale from the coaching staff with Darnold taking more second-team reps is to hopefully elevate the second team. But I think the writing on the wall is perhaps JJ McCarthy is having a better camp than Sam Darnold, and he's earned that first team spot, and Darnold hasn't performed and has floated down. Floated is the wrong word because you float up, but he's sunk. That's the right word. That's what I'm looking for.
Found it. Man, these 8%ers are getting to us already.
It's just summer as an English teacher.
There you go.
You lose touch with some of those things. But anyways, that was a curious one to me, and to hear the coaching staff kind of justify it as, well, we're giving him some more second team reps to hopefully elevate the second team. I read between the lines and think, well, sure, you could say that, but he's also maybe just not the first team guy you thought he was.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I could see that, and I don't think that's a crazy thing to say by any means. I also think it's still kind of early in camp. We don't know what's behind the thought process of these coaches. They may have been planning this kind of a split of reps since before JJ was even drafted. They could have been just thinking, all right, let's make sure we spread things out. We'll bring this up with him here later in this episode, but a couple days ago, Dustin Baker actually tweeted something to the tune of how he's saying, JJ is 21 years old. We should be talking about how he's struggling at camp, but it's kind of really cool that we're talking a lot more about like how he's doing pretty good. So like he says we should be telling everybody, calm down, it's not the end of the world yet. He's 21, he's gonna struggle a little bit, but we're not saying a whole lot of that. And maybe that's media too, you never know. Maybe they could just be, I don't know, hiding the bad plays. I don't know how they do that because people are at practice filming stuff. But yeah, we'll bring that tweet up to Dustin here a little bit later. But I mean, it is nice to know that JJ at least doesn't look completely lost in training camp.
Any other training camp thoughts, just kind of off the bat before we get into our next segment?
I'm just glad that we're so deep into training camp already. That football is so close, that we're close to being able to talk about actual on the field football between, preseason games and night practices and stuff like that. So I'm ready. I don't want to wish the summer away, but darn it, we're about there anyway, so let's go.
I don't want to wish it away too fast because then I got to go back to work.
Exactly.
So, but you're right. It can't come here soon enough. And I mean, that's the reason we sit here and do this whole thing is to talk about Vikings football. So to get back to actual football, it's exciting. The Hall of Fame game, any quick thoughts on that?
I watched all of it that was on TV because, as you may know, they ended up canceling
most of it.
Yeah, well,
second half.
They were playing into the third quarter, and I think they'd even played most of the third quarter by the time the Lightning had forced everybody to go in the concourse, and then they soon after that canceled the rest of the game. But I watched a lot of it. I did think, and this is gonna, maybe it is exactly how it's gonna sound. I'm a Vikings fan. I'm not a Bears fan. I don't like the Bears. But I did think it was weird that Caleb Williams, he didn't play at all.
Well, I think that's pretty indicative that he is the bona fide starter without a doubt.
Well, yeah, but still, like, and I get, because I believe playing in the Hall of Fame game means the Bears and the Texans will both play 4 preseason games now. So maybe that's a part of it. They don't want to have to throw them in too much, but like none of each team's starters played at all. Like, I can see why you don't play CJ Stroud, because he's earned that
starting spot.
He's already
in Houston.
Yeah, he's
sure.
good. He's played NFL reps before. I don't know. I feel like I'd be disappointed if JJ McCarthy doesn't get in the first preseason game. Like, nobody's crowned anything. Caleb Williams has not earned any NFL anything, just like JJ McCarthy has not earned any NFL anything yet. They're just rookies now, so it's kind of crazy that you're like, yeah, we're good, we're not going to play him at all. Like,
but whose GM and whose front office do you trust more? Do you trust the Vikings or do you trust the Bears?
So far, I mean, it's definitely the Vikings, but also the Bears. They've been doing decent stuff since Ryan Poles went in there. So
I would agree.
But I feel like Caleb Williams should have been playing. If I was a Bears fan, I'd probably be upset about that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And I would hope to see JJ and Sam both.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I would hope to see both of them at some point. Maybe not for a long stretch, maybe not for like a whole game in the preseason. You never see that anymore. And especially with 3 preseason games, it's a pretty short window of opportunity, but I think you have 3 potential quarterbacks, really. You have Sam Darnold, JJ McCarthy, and Nick Mullins. I think Jaron Hall, and I'm pretty sure Dustin wrote about this, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he kind of projected the 53-man roster in an article not too long ago, and I think he predicted that Jaron Hall is the odd man out. I tend to agree with him on that.
Yeah.
And I think between those 3 preseason games, you give each of those 3 probable roster spots a chance to flash in preseason, see what they can do. Maybe it's not with the first team offensive line. You want to keep those guys healthy, but and probably not any of the first team special team players either.
Yeah.
Like,
not in their special teams roles, I mean.
No, but like Justin Jefferson, for example, like he was quoted this week saying that he's kind of scared about re-injuring his hamstring. Like, I don't think we see him at all. That's pretty common nowadays to not see any of those big stars throughout the preseason. They hold out until game 1 of the regular season. But I think you give Sam Darnold, JJ McCarthy, and Nick Mullins a shot at leading the charge under center, see what happens, and go from there.
Yeah, and so to that point, I mean, the Vikings are not going to be keeping 4 quarterbacks. Not on the active roster, not on purpose.
Not when they have needs elsewhere, for sure.
And I'd almost be surprised if they kept 3 quarterbacks. Although with the recent, last year they had a lot of injuries at that one position. Not just Kirk. I mean, when Kirk was down, Nick Mullins, I think he was even on IR at the time when Kirk went down. That's why Jaron Hall started against the Falcons. So they may be a little shy about having only 2 quarterbacks just because they're coming off a year where it kind of bit them in that perfect storm of a personnel week. That's why they had to trade for Josh Dobbs. So I'd only be a little surprised if they kept 3 quarterbacks. But essentially you're talking, who do they keep, Jaron Hall or Nick Mullins, if either of them? And maybe the preseason on the field is where they shake all that out. So, but to that point too, Sam Darnold and JJ McCarthy, both for their development in this offense and on this team, that's why they need to be in on the field.
Yes.
Whereas Nick Mullins and Jared Hall, they need the development for the team, but they also need to have that added bonus of trying to prove why they need to make the team. McCarthy and Darnold they're making the team outside of some crazy shenanigans that probably won't ever happen. But Mullins and Hall, they need to try to make the team. That's why they will play. But I mean, it'll be interesting. I like preseason. I will sit and watch a whole preseason game, especially for the Vikings. It's just fun for me, and I know a lot of people aren't the same way, and that's fine. But
I'm bummed. I'm going to be out of town this coming week when the Vikings host I think it's the Raiders at home. So I'll be out of town for that. But maybe between the last 2 preseason games, we'll have to get together and see if we can watch one.
For sure. Maybe even do some Skol Hop stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting proposition there.
All right.
But